1 in 5 tenants are spending over half of their salary on rent. With an estimated 11.6 million people privately renting across the UK, this means that roughly 2.3 million tenants are spending over half of their pay before tax on rent. How have we got here, Matt Goodwin?
Well, the short answer is we have a housing crisis which nobody in politics is really prepared to deal with head-on. Rents are going up because demand is massively outstripping supply. So on the one hand, we're not building enough houses and we're not easing planning to build those houses. But secondly, let me say something controversial. I've said it on this channel before. We've got way too many people coming into the country. I'm just going to give you one stat. Last year, we built 180,000 homes in this country. The government target is 300,000. If you look at all of the credible estimates of what we need to build going forward, just to keep up with demand from this ever-growing population, we're going to need to build 550,000 homes every year. We are not even coming close. So if these rents are high, Beverly, just wait 5 years.
Is that the problem, Juditha?
Yeah, that is partly the problem. But then also remember that this is the knock-on effect of the pandemic, because you had a period where landlords had tenants in homes that weren't paying rent and they couldn't evict them. So now they're healing from the hurt. And also with the release of the kinds of restrictions that were put on rent increases on landlords, they're kind of recouping costs retroactively. And also because you've got a situation where people who are working don't earn enough money to buy homes. They have to rent for longer. And while they're renting, they don't earn enough money to put money away to save for a home. And so now you've got what was originally thought, people in their 20s, singletons, they rent. Now it's families who are renting for longer.
Well, since lockdown, since the pandemic, rent has risen by 29%. That's huge. And I know what you're saying about there was some houses which couldn't be rented out. But was that really the case, do you think, during lockdown?
Because even when I moved into my new flat, when we were looking, the number of stories where agents were like, when they do your financial check, you need to have at least be earning almost 3 times, 2.5 to 3 times what the rent is, because previously their tenants had been there for 6-8 months and weren't paying any rent and couldn't be evicted. So now the landlords are kind of getting retroactive payback.
Right.
And
perhaps being greedy?
Being greedy, but I think fundamentally we have got a crisis here that is so big, and politicians on both the left and right are putting their heads in the sand. I mean, I have to come back to this point. You know, if you wanted to get a flat in London, as you know, on average you're competing with, they think, between 20 and 30 other people. Many of those, by the way, are not from Britain. I think we need to talk about having some sort of principle of national preference in the housing market. I don't think houses and flats should be held in offshore trusts by offshore companies. I think all of that stuff needs to be looked at and changed. But more fundamentally, unless we're going to be building another 300,000, 400,000 homes every year for the foreseeable future, while running these levels of migration, we're not going to fix this crisis. So here's a simple thing I would say to every politician in Westminster. You can have available, affordable housing, or you can have mass immigration. You cannot have both.
Great way to end, because we're going to talk about mansplaining next. That wasn't mansplaining, Matt.
No,
that was just you being
a very
very
succinct
clever.
answer.
That was brilliant.